to the show. Congratulations on your win. Your opponent, as I mentioned, had more money, had the backing of the Democratic establishment. What message do you think your win now sends?
Well, for sure. Thank you for having me. And I want to be clear. We knew that we were going to win. Our campaign knew that we were going to win because we put in the work and because we went out and we centered people and the issues that concerned them and they cared about. The fact was that folks are upset because Donald Trump and unelected Ashley Moody only care more about ensuring that their campaign donors and corporations are getting richer and richer. And meanwhile, everyday people are working harder than ever and still struggling just to stay afloat. And so we were able to resonate with people also because I have a proven track record of standing up and being a fighter. And again, as I stated earlier with you today, it's not about people's labels for me. I'm a single mom. I was a single mom for, 12 years. I'm a mother now. I'm an organizer. I'm a community organizer. But more importantly, it's about the needs of the people. And what people need is they need housing, right? They need universal health care. They want universal child care to help lower their costs so that they can just be able to live without struggling or anything like that.
We did talk just last night, actually, anticipation of this moment. And you say that you reject labels. Republicans, though, they already want to paint one right on you. They are leaning into attacking you for being a Democratic socialist. Republican Senator Ashley Moody said this.
Angie Nixon, who will be my opponent in November, and her comrades want to destroy this country and everything that it is built on.
Nous t'avons connaître que Dame ça qui Nixon et les fait victoire hier soir et contre Trump, parti Trump, parti républicain. Hein. Et nous senti que ça a dérangé un pile monde et nous senti que ça a dérangé un pile monde, un pile républicain, un pile monde qui était voté pour républicain. Et ça vraiment bah nous un espoir. Les bah nous espoir pour peuple haïtien parce que dame ça les fight en pile et n'a mettez mazé sur écran encore. Tendez bien.
In November. And secondly, Ashley Moody actually used 10 million of our dollars that were supposed to go towards the most medically needy kids in our state to divert that funding and to defeat ballot initiatives that the citizens placed on the ballot. And so Ashley Moody doesn't care about anything but herself. We continue to see her net worth increase. Meanwhile, Floridians across our state, their net worth is going down. They have absolutely nothing in their savings account. She won't even hold town hall meetings unless they're Republicans. I am someone who's willing to go out and talk to everyone, even if they don't believe how I believe ideologically, because I want to represent all Floridians here in the state of Florida. Many people who have called and reached out to Ashley Moody's office for help, you know who they call? Because she doesn't return their call? They call me. They email me, and we help connect them to the resources that they need. And so I'm not running away from the people, I'm running to them. And I look forward to becoming their next United States Senator come November.
Well, a Democratic nominee who wants to be called governor in your state is David Jolly, and he praised you as a fighter, but he also said that he flatly rejects socialism. How do you plan to unite the party around your campaign right now?
Again, it is not about labels. It's about the most basic rights that people here in the state need. They need housing. Right now, here in our state, it costs over 18% of the national average to rent a home or to rent an apartment here.
Ooh.
People are paying 300 more times for property insurance here in the state of Florida. We witnessed Ashley Moody fail to extend the ACA subsidies, which caused nearly 300,000 people to be knocked off of the Affordable Care Act rolls. She doesn't care about anyone but herself. And also, she did that because her campaign donors are health insurance companies. And so I look forward, Ashley Moody, to taking you on and to whooping you in November, and you will be calling me your senator.
State Representative Angie Nixon, thank you for joining.
Angie Nixon, who Florida state rep, she wins this race for the nomination for the Senate, raising over only $1 million compared to Alexander Vindman, who for a time was a household name because of his role in the impeachment hearings against Donald Trump, who raised $16 million.
La faut camper pour nous dire comme ça que pour nous faire connaître que le fait que on moun gagne ça les cœurs en main. Par exemple, on va vivre dans state ou pas vivre bien. Housing cost is very high, and you know, having access to the basic needs, it's quite a problem. So, on dame comme ça. Est-ce que je ne peux pas voter? Parce que she spoke out about these things. So, therefore, je suis bien content pour lui, je suis bravo pour lui. Mais le fait que il y a quelques opposants, par exemple, monsieur qui fait élu pour gouverneur, et il pas, ouais, aille pour aille avec l'activité, des gars dit, activité socialisme. Mais c'est pas que dame sont socialistes que lui en tant que tel. Mais these are basic human needs, human rights, basic human needs. On monde supposé boire manger, ou supposé qu'on flore dans tête ou, qu'on ceiling dans tête ou, sous tête ou. So là, son gros problème que lié, même au niveau des États-Unis, comme si on est capable de remarquer que l'élection centrée sous genre de problèmes qu'on a confrontés. The housing cost is skyrocketing. So there is no joke about that. So, by raison que pour le pas passer. Et c'est ça, aussi simple que ça. On comprend? Aussi simple que ça.
I have to wonder if what this speaks to is, you know, I take your point on the socialism piece of this, but what this really speaks to is the limits right now among Democrats in being just strictly anti-Trump, and that being your sort of political personality. One of the things the DSA is doing is talking about kitchen table issues, economics, and they're doing it in a way that rubs some people the wrong way, but that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, but also remember too, this is a two-person race, and African-American women are really the base of the Democratic Party, and African-American woman won. She's a native Floridian. Vindman, I don't think, was as connected to the state as she was, and so, you know, I think that makes up for a lot, and so I think it's hard to parachute into some of these states and say, I'm your guy. It doesn't always work out so well. So I think that's part of it. But I do think I agree with Noah. I mean, this is a gift to the Republicans in Florida, because now that Senate seat, which was really not that competitive to begin with, was even less competitive now.
I question whether it would have been that competitive. I think Alex would have been competitive against Ashley Moody. She hasn't really done anything for Florida. She's been a rubber stamp for Trump. And Alex would have been a stronger representative for the state of Florida. But to everyone's point here, it is difficult when you are new to the state. Florida is, you know, one of those states where you really need to have roots there, especially for a statewide race like that. Maybe if he had run for Congress, it would have been a little bit, he would have had more success there. But, you know, I applaud him for trying. I mean, Alexander Vindman is a hero, and he should be applauded for trying to run for Congress. I mean, run for the Senate. His brother won for, his twin brother ran for Congress in Virginia and won successfully. So it is, you know, this is definitely going to take Florida off the board.
But doesn't this lend credence to Donald Trump's narrative that the DSA is a national threat? That you can't really talk about this as a New York thing or a Seattle thing or a Colorado thing. It's a national thing. Therefore, we have to nationalize the socialist threat, and also to convince Democrats to send as much money as they possibly can to this.
I think that's a bit of a simplistic view of what we're seeing tonight. There is a lot of narrative around progressive versus moderate, but I think what's really important is the Democratic electorate is looking for candidates that are willing to take the fight in Congress to actually legislate. Cycle after cycle, voters have been very frustrated with the fact that they send people to Congress who end up being more interested in tenure than legislating and actual problem solving. And that's kind of the contrast you're seeing across the country. And unfortunately, for some of the more centrist Democrats that are running, progressives are doing a really good job of filling that.
I mean, her platform includes a national job registry and, and inflation-adjusted wages and free child care and nationalizing the health insurance
I hear
industry.
you. I don't support the DSA.
Popular is one thing. It's popular to say that Medicare for all is popular. People don't like to lose their insurance.
I think we will find out, right, how the DSA candidates fare in all of these different places. I think it's definitely going to be state by state, district by district, all of that. But I don't think we know for sure.
Let's talk about Angie Nixon, because she pulled no punches, minced no words. Ashley, do you think that she has a shot in a state like Florida?
Can I say no? I mean,
you can say whatever
Florida.
you want. It's truthful.
It's Florida. I mean, she won the race I think she could win, which was primary race in the Democratic primary. She's a better political athlete than Vindman is. Yeah. You know, she was outspent 35 times. I think what was interesting, though, she only spent $60,000, and none of it was on TV, none of it was on broadcast, none of it was on cable. She ran a purely grassroots campaign, and we've seen that across the country where money is, there's limitations to money now, there's limitations to endorsements. We just talked about Donald Trump's endorsements, endorsed candidates losing, and it seems like now what the winning formula is going back to the basics, and she went back to the basics. She's from Florida.
Candidate. It's difficult for me to put that in words. In some of our conference calls at Axios, I would just start to rant about it. Like I was almost offended by his just inability to.
If I die tomorrow, my family inherits $2.5 million. Not debt, not a mortgage, actual generational wealth. Here's exactly how I set that up. When we bought our first starter home, I bought a $500,000 life insurance policy. So if anything happened to me, my family could still afford the mortgage. First time I got life insurance, I did it the old way. Medical
to campaign properly.
How did he do it? Yeah.
Well, it's more like how did he not do it? I don't really know where that money was spent because you didn't really see him on television. You didn't really see him in the community. You didn't see him in mailers. You didn't see him in text messages. There was no presence. About 7 days ago, in preparation for today, I started to think, okay, what does the polling show? And I couldn't find any polling, which is a very rare thing in a statewide election in Florida, something of this import, a Senate seat. And I called a number of pollsters, and everyone's like, no, we're just not paying attention to it. And I realized, well, let's see. I'm not seeing Vindman really campaign. He has no real roots here. He's essentially sort of carpetbagged here. I didn't even know the guy lived in the state. I thought, like his brothers in Congress, he lived in Virginia. And so then I started to think, well, Angie Nixon's a known commodity. She comes from Jacksonville, which is a large media market with a lot of voters. She has an active coterie of progressive supporters who are very into her. And she made her presence known on social media. And a lot of Democrats just didn't know who she was and who he was, including my own wife, who is a longtime Democratic voter. She was not contacted by either campaign. Voters like that walked into the polls, Democratic voters, and they saw a man they didn't know and a woman they didn't know. And a lot of them voted for the woman they didn't know. A lot of progressives showed up because they wanted to vote for the progressive, and a lot of people just didn't show. It was a pretty low turnout primary. All of these things combined together very well for her. Not to take away from her, I agree she was certainly the superior political athlete. Angie Nixon was a better candidate who ran a better campaign, and she won.
Also, black voters made a big difference in that
100%.
race. Vindman was polling and performing poorly with black voters. It became a national story, in fact, and she, the very opposite of that. And her last campaign stop was in a black church. I mean, she literally has been in that community.
Gan qui ka bay choc électrique. AIS qui gen plan pour bay agent li yo, gan des gants qui ka bay choc électrique. Comme ça, les agents AIS yo mette main sur yo, immigrant yo ka bay courant. Agent AIS yo pas gen nan main yo, yo gan qui ka bay choc électrique. Décision ça vini dans l'idée pour faire moun ka boumen avec agent haïtien et bien pour faire yo obéir, pour maîtriser yo. Dans une note département sécurité intérieure DHS publié lundi passé là, note l'a dit que ICE a un plan pour lui dépenser jusqu'à 20 millions de dollars pour acheter plusieurs milliers d'appareils électroniques pour distraire et puis calmer la situation. Les ICE a procédé à l'arrestation. Appareil ça relé GLOVE, GLOVE. Ça veut dire Generated Low Output Voltage Emitter. Émetteur qui générait voltage électrique à bas niveau. C'est compagnie ça qui relé Compliant Technologies LLC qui dans Lexington, dans Kentucky, qui joue un contrat ça pour faire gants électriques ça yo pour agent haïtien. N'a précisé que l'autorité a été servie avec gants électriques ça yo dans l'année qui saute passé là yo dans quelques prisons avec dans plusieurs départements de la police ici aux États-Unis. Qui veut dire que là où un agent ICE a intercepté dans la rue, il doit mettre gants ça dans mail